Hi, Reina.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for coming on my show, Real People, Real Careers.
You're
When I
welcome.
saw you at VU event, I was
Mm-hmm.
impressed with what you do.
Thank you.
So, Reina Jones, VP Delta Communities,
Yes.
and today we're going to talk about your journey, with Delta Communities, and even
Okay.
before that,
Okay.
what got you here?
Okay. I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. So, what made Reina, who Reina is, from a young girl to this amazing woman who does so much community help, support, and works for Delta?
Yeah. So I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and
Wow.
I did, and I'm
Okay.
one of four, and I come from a family who has always been civically engaged.
Nice.
My dad was a public service government employee. He became the first African American county manager.
Wow.
He was worked for the city of Dallas for many years, and so my parents instilled a lot of civic engagement in us at a very early age. My uncle had sickle cell, and so we would volunteer with the Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation every
From the
year.
beginning.
So that's how I started in my journey when it comes to community activities. So then I went to college in North Carolina A&T State University, which is an HBCU. I majored in communications and
Hmm.
my minor was business. I thought I was going to be Oprah Winfrey.
Oh,
I
my
know.
yes. My dream is that my show,
Yeah,
I would love to take my show to Oprah Winfrey.
absolutely. We're going to put that in the universe. And so from there, I worked for the Olympics when
Hmm.
I was in college. And I loved Atlanta. And I thought one day I might come back to this city. And I did some years later. And I worked for Allstate Insurance Company first out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I don't really like insurance, but what I did do, I volunteered a lot. And when I left Allstate, I decided I think I want to go into the nonprofit field. And that's what I did. And I worked for United Way of Greater Atlanta for about 10 years,
Nice.
developing and raising money. So corporate social responsibility on the community side of what I do now. It's just the flip side of it. Now I
Exactly.
give the money out as opposed to
Before you
fundraising.
fundraising.
Exactly. So that's how I really got a sense of Atlanta and just the overall needs that the city has. Oftentimes we live in a bubble
Absolutely.
and we don't realize that there are great needs out there, and I got exposed to all of it.
That's beautiful. So you're actually working, but at the same time
Yeah.
doing a lot of good work at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, like a doctor.
Yes.
They make money, but they save lives.
But they save lives, and that's what I was doing. I was raising money for those people who don't have a voice. And that's what gratified me every day. I could go into a company and I could inspire people to donate and give in support of other human beings. And so at the heart of who I am, it's all about giving back and uplifting our communities.
That's very inspiring, Reina.
Thank you.
And what is your educational background? You talked about
Mm-hmm.
communication
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
minor in business.
And I minored in business.
And before Delta, where were you?
So right before I got to Delta, I was with 100 Black Men of Atlanta,
Hmm.
and I headed up development for that organization.
Interesting.
So I left United Way, which was this major machine of a nonprofit organization, and I realized I wanted to do something that was for one specific cause, and really try at grant writing, fundraising, development on all aspects. And so that's what that career shift did for me. I went from one organization that's huge, but very siloed in its approach, to now I'm fundraising for a smaller organization, but I'm doing everything. I'm writing the grants, I'm meeting with corporate figures, I'm meeting with members of that organization, and I'm also tailoring my approach as I'm talking to people.
Interesting.
Yes. So if there, is a company and they're looking for diversity, I would create and customize development packages specifically for that company to show them how their investment into that organization could help them with their return on investment.
Wow.
Yes, so that
ROI is always important for companies
yes,
and corporate structures.
it really is. And I think that that was where I really honed in on my ability to connect with people and really understand what their needs are, and then going in and customizing. And that helped me raise a lot of money for that organization.
Beautiful. So, Reina,
Yes.
can you give me some insight and background on your current career path? How you got here, what steps you took, what certification, education, and all the background journey, what made Reina who Reina is right now?
Oh, loaded question.
It
but
is a loaded
yes,
question.
I can. So I am an assistant vice president of community development, which in short terms means community affairs. That is the extension and the external work on behalf of the organization. So
Awesome.
that's what I do. And we support communities. That's the biggest piece of all that we do. So I invest in nonprofit organizations by overseeing a budget. We have financial literacy that we offer to students and members at Delta Community, to individuals at companies, chambers of commerce. So everything that is external is what I do in support of the community. And so we do that by looking at different target focused areas. So education is very important.
Absolutely.
So yes, so we align with nonprofit organizations that have education specific causes, financial literacy, that's another one of our giving components. Health and well-being is one of them as well.
Wow.
And STEM and STEAM education. And so those are all of the things that we do, just to give you an idea of just what I do on a daily basis. And then I also help with our media approach at Delta Community. So a lot of our storytelling and public service announcements and things like that, I also help do.
Tell me about the realities of your everyday job. What does a typical day in your roles looks like from the time you get up in the morning and you put your feet on ground and manifest this day to be absolutely the best day?
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to add the manifestation in there, but I do pray. So a typical day, I have one daughter. She's 16. She is a sophomore at Chambly. So we get up, I take her to school. And then my day can be, it runs the gamut, honestly. So some days I'm meeting with different individuals from nonprofits, mostly development people, wanting to understand what our giving priorities are as a company and then how they can fit into that. I have a lot of meetings like that. I have a team of 4 other individuals. So there's the Financial Education Center program manager, and then I have 3 community development reps. So we're always meeting and talking. It's very event driven because we sponsor so many nonprofits.
Right.
And so because of that, sometimes our sponsorships are for evening events. Sometimes they're for luncheons or breakfasts. So every day I am managing my calendar to see where I need to be.
Wow.
And who I need to meet with. So that's a big part of it. So when I'm looking for people, let's say to join my team, I tell them loving the community is good, but I also need project managers.
100%.
Because that's really the day-to-day of
Absolutely.
it. And everyone knows, if you know anything about project management, no day is the same.
Exactly.
And that's big for us. The other piece is I'm constantly strategizing about vision and where else can we leverage our brand. I have to always be in tune with what's going on in the city, what those needs are, what's bubbling up.
So Reina, where do you see yourself in future? Do you see yourself pivoting, growing the same role, or you want to do something new, something which, what do you want to do in the future in the next 10 to 15 years? That's a big question, or you can take small steps.
Small steps for sure. I think my doing this is a small step. And when I think about my future self, I think about sharing with others all that I've learned. And I do think that this is one step. I have organically grown my media presence just through my role now. And so sometimes I think about, okay, what more can I do along those lines? Whatever I do, I know that I still want to be connected to community.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I was just speaking with some young professionals this morning, another, atypical day. And I was given a lot of advice. I was talking to a few new individuals in the field of development and fundraising. And they were like, oh my God, that's great advice. And so I do want to expand my horizons and sharing the knowledge that
And
I
what was that
have.
advice?
I was telling her that fundraising is about connecting with people.
So Reina, tell me the role of AI in your organization, and how do you see AI changing the world and the job market and the career you're in?
Oh, wow. So, for corporate social responsibility, it's really hard to replace humans in that role because we're
It's a good thing. I like that.
We're the heartbeat of an organization.
Exactly.
And everything we do is very people driven.
Oriented.
It is. Now, here's where I do apply AI to some of my mechanisms, is because I also oversee our financial education center. And so data is important for us. And the way we conduct our workshops and series is important to us. And so we do utilize those mechanisms to help feed us information, to help track, who's attending these workshops and what are they doing? What's their credit score? What did they purchase? And so all of those things, how can they take understanding their credit workshop, but then how can we have predictive models that help us to understand, are they ready to purchase a home or purchase a car? So there are mechanisms that we're slowly kind of infusing into the work we do. But it is a slow grind when it comes to just the corporate social responsibility piece. But I do definitely see it in other business units within our organization, where we're using a lot of predictive models, even when it comes to just scouting out where our next branch location will be, and how you can, apply geo fences to see where people are. And so those models and those things we do utilize, and I think it will in time, affect how businesses operate. I can say that in my writing, we do a lot of writing and brand extensions and portals for scholarships and things like that. So I have utilized technology a lot more over these last 5 years. I remember when I first started, everything was paper. It was a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
It was, and then I said, well, we can automate that. Let's start scanning stuff in and then emailing. And now, now there are sites that we use. So every few years, I see the advancements of what we're doing. So it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So we
better get on the.
We have to get on the bandwagon with it.
Absolutely.
Because it isn't going anywhere. And I have seen where we can utilize certain aspects to help us work smarter and not harder.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's been helpful in that way.
As a coach, I always say there are people who work smart, they don't get anywhere. There are people who work hard all the time, but sometimes it's, they keep working hard, but they still are stuck.
Exactly.
I always say combine hard work and smart work together if you want to move ahead in the line.
Absolutely.
What would Reina want to do before she leaves this earth? And what advice you would leave for the next generation with all the years of experience you've gathered under your belt?
Oh my goodness.
I know it's like, we never think about it that way, but that is something, I tell everyone to think about. What would you like to do before you actually leave this world? Personally and professionally.
Yeah, I would say personally for me, it's very simple. As a mother of one child who, has some level of need, is to get her as independent as possible.
Beautiful.
And she and I have also talked about her starting her own nonprofit organization
Nice.
because there's an unmet need for kids that kind of fall into her
that
category. It's called mild intellectual delay.
Mm-hmm.
They're not autistic. They're not on the spectrum. They're not severe. So there's this fine middle. And before I leave this earth, I would love to see that come to fruition for her.
Yes, it's so like, okay.
Absolutely. You know,
That's a mother's heart talking.
It is. It's a mother's heart talking. I know that I am a servant leader. I've always been. From growing up, I started dancing in drill team when I was like 6 years old, and I was like the first African American captain that this organization had ever had. I was captain of the cheerleading team, captain of the dance team in college, and so I've always led people. And so before I leave, I would love to stand in front of a major audience, whether it's a TED talk or something, and just share my experience and my life journey, not to just, give myself accolades, but to help other people
and inspire them.
I do feel like I have a lot to share, and I would like to do that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And what few golden words you want to really talk to the next generation, what they should do?
There's this saying that I think I was in the 7th grade, Miss Lewis, she would say, good, better, best. Mm-hmm. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Like, it was like one of my most favorite things that she would say, because
never let it
rest. Like, until your good is better. Best. And then your better is better. Yes. So
the quality.
Yeah, it's the qualities. Like, sometimes we're okay with just good, but sometimes it can be even better. And sometimes it can be the best, and you don't have to rest. And so I just love that saying. And she would say it all the time, but it was a way that I internalized it, that I can keep going. Like, I don't have to just be satisfied with the status quo, or I don't have to accept this answer. And there's always a way around. And I think that that's what that little saying is. Like, oh, that's good, but you know what? I think I can do better. Yes.
And then that better can be turned into the best.
Yes. And so it's just that little thing, and it stuck with me for years. And I would just, incentivize young people to slow down.
Wow.
We live in a fast,
furious,
world. Everything is instant
gratification.
Everything. And you don't experience the now. People are not in the moment anymore. And, I can go to an airport, and sometimes I'll just look around and I'm like, gosh, no one's looking up.
Everybody's on their phone.
Down. No one's looking up. And I don't think that we are put on this earth to just look down. We don't get to experience the beauty. We don't get to see other people's hearts and their souls, which is through their eyes. We have to look at people. And I would share that with any young person, because I think if they would just do that, they would put their phones down and they would take time to have conversations.
That is so well done. So the magic lies in the slowness. The magic lies in the stillness.
Yeah.
In the calmness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So slow down to experience life.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much, Reina. I'm so excited. That was beautifully done. Few quotes you told me, you can do better.
Yeah.
That stick with me.
Thank you.
And this, magic and slowness, I've been hearing that's along the way every day from so many different, accomplished people. Thank you so much for coming on Real People, Real Career. This was a very, it fills my heart.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.